what is up guys, welcome back to another episode of ReaperCast. Today we're going to be talking about just one card here, and that card happens to be Numeron Storm. It's essentially here a Numeron support, as you guys could already tell by the name itself, so it is definitely going to be quite interesting to see what it could potentially do. And yeah, with that being said, let's just get into it. So firstly, it is a normal spell card, so it does have certain vulnerabilities at least, and it isn't as fast as something like a quick play spell or I don't know, a field spell or something like that. But with that being said, this is what the effect is. So if you control a Numeronious monster, destroy as many spells and traps your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. Now this might seem a bit simple because it just deals damage and then you destroy a bunch of spells and traps, but the thing is this, it's actually a really good card if you think about it. You might be thinking this is just like a Harpy's Feather Duster, which just came off the ban list and hasn't really shown too much impact in this particular format yet. Well, I actually would like to disagree with that. I think despite the fact that it does require you to have a Numeronious monster out on the field, it's still not that difficult to accomplish, because Numeronious has become somewhat of a card that we do actually see in the format now, and even with that kind of specificity, we still think that, well, I still think that this particular card is definitely a really good card for the fact that, well, it only needs to destroy one spell or trap card. It doesn't require you to destroy a certain amount, you just need to destroy at least one, because it pretty much has the if you do, you then inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. So there is that small condition that you must destroy at least one. But even so, to deal 1000 damage straight up with a spell like this, it's definitely opening up a lot of doors here. We're gonna see some kind of OTK, we're gonna see some definite crazy combos going on with this particular deck. We know it's going to be crazy, and you would think that maybe we wouldn't be seeing any more burn cards or burn related decks coming out, but I think that with this particular card, it's going to open up a new kind of burn deck out there, which is definitely going to be quite pesky, quite annoying, but you know what, we can't really do anything about it. So of course, cards like Prime Material Dragon or other kind of cards as well which prevent damage, that could work out, but even so, those are not common cards to be actually played. So with a card like this, I could see some kind of loop actually going on, because let's think of it like this. So let's say your opponent actually has a bunch of spells and traps on the field, and we actually kind of get that. I mean, it's normal to have a deck that has like supporting spells now. Consider field spells, they're so prevalent in almost every single deck out there. Consider continuous spell cards that are actually supporting decks out there, and then consider cards that are just face down. Even trap cards are starting to become more prevalent now, despite the fact that we have something like Harpy's Feather Duster. So with that being said, you have a card like Numeron Storm, allowing you to destroy them immediately, or at least meeting the conditions for it to actually be an active card. And when that happens, you're easily just going to deal 1000 damage to your opponent. Now find a way for you to actually reset more cards onto the field again, so that you could activate a second one of these, and you got some kind of infinite loop going on. Now of course, I don't know many cards, however I do know that Set Rotation is a potential card. You can just activate Set Rotation, and essentially you can just reset the cards onto your opponent's field again, and you only need to set up one card, and again you meet the condition to activate a second copy of Numeron Storm, which deals 2000 damage now in total. And again, if you have some kind of card that constantly allows your opponent to bring back cards from the, well, onto their spell and trap zone, or even field spell, then you essentially will keep having this card active. Now of course you might be thinking, well, what if this card can also be added back? For example, Magical Excavation Stone is a card that allows you to bring back your spell cards, normal spell cards at that even, from your graveyard. So let's say you have some kind of loop going, then you could potentially activate 8 copies of Numeron Storm, dealing 8,000 damage. That's pretty much an FTK right off the bat. In fact, you could probably do this the minute you actually go into the game. So it's definitely a very powerful card, has a lot of potential, and you know, I could actually see it being a problematic card. It might seem like a cheap gimmick, something that's really fun, but if it takes off, if it gains that kind of popularity, that kind of loop going on, some kind of crazy combo, it is definitely going to cause a lot of trouble in the game. So it's just something that really caught my attention, because it is going to be quite a surprise to see how this card actually unfolds. I don't think this is a card that's actually going to just walk by and not do anything. I think it's definitely going to have a huge impact out there in the format. So I definitely don't think that any of us here should be underestimating this card. This card is definitely going to be quite powerful indeed. Of course, definitely let me know what your ideas are as to how you might be able to loop this card, because I do think that this is something that's, I don't know, I mean, I just don't think that it's a card that is as simple as this. I think there's a lot more to it when you actually consider all the potential cards you could play out there. But with that being said, this card is actually coming out in the Animation Chronicle 2021 set, which is said to be released in June 12th. So it is going to be quite interesting to see that this particular card is coming out pretty soon, at least for the OCG, and then soon after the TCG would follow. Now by that time, I would actually have to assume that the ban list might be out by then, but who knows? I mean, but either way, this card just seems like absolute chaos if it actually goes off. And seeing that Numerons or Numeronius in general, like I said, it's just something that's become more prevalent in this particular format. I mean, people are actually wanting to buy the cards. They're actually sought after cards, at least the Numeronius Xyz monsters. So this particular card here, it's honestly no harm to the deck itself. You just splash it in, it's a really good card. You don't even need to play Harpy's Feather Duster. And the fact that this card's coming out right off the bat at 3 copies is just absolutely amazing. So definitely let me know what your thoughts are on this particular card. Is this something that you see that might be too impactful, or at least too broken, that is, in the upcoming formats? However, if you guys enjoyed this particular video, then definitely drop a like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It definitely really helps. And I also hope that you guys are actually staying safe as well. At least where I'm from at the moment, we just recently went back into a 1-week lockdown. So for the time being, I won't be able to go out to buy any cards, and I was actually hoping to go out to actually buy cards, you know, like Lightning Overdrive is coming out soon, so it is something that is definitely quite disappointing to hear. All of our stores have been closed, and very specific lockdown restrictions have actually been implemented again. And while it's only going to last 1 week, it is still definitely going to be quite crazy, because we weren't on a lockdown for a very long time. We were pretty much free for about 7 or 8 months, so it was a very long time of just being able to do whatever we want. So to get back into lockdown again is definitely going to be quite a difficult thing to just transition back into again. But with that being said, I hope you're all staying safe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next time.